Hey everybody, this is Claire, and this is Small Joyful Things. As always, I go to thrift stores or estate sales, or sometimes I buy things from Craigslist, and I'm always looking for interesting things or things that I think you guys might be interested in. And then I bring them home, try and find out as much as I can about them, and then let you guys know about them. So here's what I've got today. I have a wooden box. And I'm going to turn sideways so you can actually see it. It is a really phenomenal little wooden box. So I ended up picking this up in a thrift store for $6. It is quite heavy. It's a little bit thicker on the base here than it is on the lid, but it's clearly been made by someone who deeply cares about their craft. The lid itself fits very nicely. It's all turned by hand, as you can see. It's turned on a lathe, and it's been finished very nicely. It's got these lovely lines, and not only that, but in the inside you can see it has a line here as well that kind of matches the one on the outside. I've actually been trying to determine whether this is actually a two-piece kind of thing, but I think from the grain of the wood it's pretty clear that it is actually just, this is entirely one piece, and that this is essentially just done for the effect, even though the color is a little different. You can just about see there in the light, kind of. So the lid itself is basically the same. A little bit extra of the stain there that I think didn't quite get wiped off. There's the marks here as well, you can see there, and not so much here on the inside or whatever, but definitely there. That's basically where it would have been held in by the woodworking lathe. Bearing in mind, I don't really know a whole lot about woodworking in general. As it happens, my husband just watches quite a number of woodworking videos on YouTube, so I kind of just tangentially pick up stuff about woodworking. So I've seen some videos basically of how exactly they would make stuff like this. They would essentially just take the piece of wood, and here you can see it, there's got a little bit of a scar there or whatever. They just kind of stick it onto a big spike, and then they take their I can't, blanking on the name of it, essentially a large woodworking knife, and then just hold it up to like the bar and everything, and just hold it there, and then just start to pare down to the shape that they want as the thing is spinning madly. If you ever actually want to look it up, I know it's definitely called a lathe, and yeah, I can't remember the name of the actual thing that they use in order to chisel or something like that. That they're a woodworking chisel, maybe. What they actually use to actually cut the thing into shape. But basically all they're doing is just kind of slowly cutting away layers of wood as the thing is turning, so that they get this nice round shape. And they would have to be fairly precise about it, especially if you want to get a good fit or whatever on a lid like this. The green of the wood is really lovely here. Again, it fits together so nicely. So why did I actually buy this? So I picked this up and kind of turned it over my hand, and the one thing that I felt about it is, first of all, if you hold it, it's very nice and satisfying to hold. It has a lovely shape to it. I said it before that I find texture and weight and kind of the experience of holding something is very important to me. And this definitely kind of sparked joy when I picked it up. It just felt like something that had been made by somebody who cared. And even then, when I actually picked it up and I turned the lid over my hand, and I felt the way that the lid kind of settled into the body, and what did I think about, or how did I feel about like the whole thing itself, of holding it, of turning it over my hands, of kind of taking the lid off and putting it back on again. I thought definitely this was made by someone who cared, and I appreciate that more than anything. I appreciate anything that is made by someone who put love and thought and care into something, who were essentially creating something as an expression of the best of what they were trying to create, something nice, something beautiful, something usable. There's something deeply personal about it. And the nice thing about this one anyway is that we do actually have this inscription on the base, and obviously it's been a bit worn away, and you can see that there was probably the remains of a sticker there at some point, which is long since gone, but I could just about make out the inscription on it. And obviously this is quite old. It said either Wicks or Nick's shop, and the place is Kamsack. And underneath here, the date says November, and I can just about make out 1981. So this lovely little wooden box is 40 years old. It's held up quite nicely, I have to say. Like, you can see from the gloss on it that the shine is still quite good. I definitely feel in some places it's kind of rough. I could put my hand into it and I could feel the same. It's been stained and glazed. It's been, not glazed obviously because it's wood, it's been varnished or whatever on the inside. Like, it's not just raw wood, it's sealed. It is really quite nice. And I really just appreciate that. Now, before anything else, I should probably measure it up. And it is about 6 inches across. The body of it is a little bit wider than the lid. Like, measure these off real quick. The lid's about 5 inches across. So the belly of it, or kind of, you can see the way it kind of sticks out a bit. And then to the height of the handle, if I can do this, is about 6.5 inches high. So it's somewhat square. 6 by 6.5 inches. It's a nice thing. It's a nice size. Again, I have very small hands, so it may look bigger than it actually is. Trust me, you got to take a look. Just if you're not sure, just take out a ruler and kind of just look at it. It's not as big as that. I just have small hands. So anyway, do we actually know anything about the source? Like, where would it have come from? Fortunately, I don't really have a whole lot. What I have is this, okay? There's Kamsack. It is a tiny, tiny little town, I guess, in the eastern Saskatchewan. So there I am in Vancouver, and Kamsack is all the way here, almost on the other side of Canada. And it's nice and scenic, but it's a very small place. I did take a quick look, like, in Wikipedia. Is there anything kind of unusual or anything about it? No, it's literally just a tiny, tiny little town right there on the very edge of Saskatchewan. It's incredibly small, and there's not really a whole lot to say about it. It's basically just this very tiny town. I did make an effort to try and find out, like, first of all, who was Nick or Wick. I think it's probably Nick, all things considered. Is there any kind of name or whatever that pops up for anything to do with woodworking in Kamsack? And bearing in mind that this is 40 years old and they didn't have the internet in 1981 in rural Saskatchewan, I'm quite sure of that. There's no real information left over. There's nothing about this. This is essentially an anomaly. My best guess would be that it's a piece of folk art. It's been made by someone who was possibly didn't do it as a professionally, or maybe they did. I mean, it is marked as being from an actual shop, and then it had a sticker on it. But like, it's possible that someone was like in a shop and was learning how to do woodworking. I really don't know. Like, we have almost no information. I even just looked up to see were there actual woodworking shops anywhere in Kamsack. Apparently not, or at least the ones that there have no relation to this. This is again, it's an anomaly. It's from before this type of information was really recorded anywhere online. I even went to the trouble of taking a look to see what, like, are there any kind of newspapers or anything listed? And to be honest, Google is usually pretty good about turning up that kind of information, especially if I'm looking for particular surnames. I found some really interesting stuff just by, you know, getting, like, from Google indexing old archives of local newspapers. Not in this case. I really don't have anything. Now, it's possible something else is going to show up, but I've kind of hit a wall or whatever in this. So essentially what we have here is a very nice wooden box. It's clearly vintage, and it was clearly made by someone who cared quite a bit. And we know that it came from Kamsack in 1981. But other than that, we don't have any more information. I have to wonder whether someday somebody who knows who, what was that name? Somebody who knows who Nick was, maybe they'll watch this video and they'll say so, and hopefully if they do, they'll leave a message or something in the comments, so then we will all, you know, find out the mystery. But until then, so exactly what am I going to do with it? I would say, because this is something that's clearly quite a piece of quality work, like, the whole thing is just It's very nicely made. Again, made by someone who cared. It's a little rough, I would say, but in fantastic shape. It is a lovely, lovely wooden box. I would say that it's probably food safe as well. I can imagine this being like a very lovely, rustic kind of a cookie jar. I mean, if you're not going to eat that many cookies, I would have to say. So I bought it for $6. I'm probably going to be putting it up on Etsy for maybe $20 or $30, and then, you know, whatever the shipping cost. It's not going to be a whole lot because it is obviously made of wood. It's quite a bit lighter than for the size and thickness than it would be if it was made out of ceramic. So I think it's really lovely. A Saskatchewan wooden box. So here is my small joyful thing for the day. I hope you guys like it as well. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.